Hello everyone, I'm Dan the Cineman and welcome back to my channel. Bit of a different video for you today. The reason behind it was last night, the 11th of March, I watched The Secret Agent, meaning that I've now seen all of the 2026 Best Picture Academy Award nominees. So I thought this would be a nice time seeing how the awards are on Sunday evening, British time, Sunday evening, I believe. So I just thought this would be a perfect opportunity to make this style of video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rank the 10 nominees, obviously from 10th to 1st. I'll do a little bit of discussion about them. It'll all be spoiler free. I'm also going to discuss where the films are up for other Academy Awards. I'm going to sort of say which ones I think they should win. And then at the very end, I've done a little table of my predictions for the awards and also my picks for the main ones. So yeah, I'll show you that as well. If this sort of style of video goes down well, I can do some more rankings. I could also do, a sort of reaction to the Oscars and sort of review my predictions and see which ones came true, which ones were way off. Hopefully none of them were, but I think we'll get a few surprises this year. If any of these films are available to stream, I'll also touch upon that just if you want to sort of watch a few of them before the big day on Sunday. But yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into number 10. Usual disclaimer quickly, I will use images throughout this video. Where credit needs to be given, I will give it in the bottom corner. Where it is not given, the image is available in the public domain and therefore no credit needs to be given at all. At number 10, to probably no one's surprise, we have F1. Look, I completely understand and love and appreciate the subjectivity of cinema. However, I just do not think this film belongs alongside some of the others here. It just was not great. I gave it 3 stars. There was some things to love. I'm a Formula One fan, and the actual Formula One scenes were unbelievably good. The action scenes were obviously high paced because of the nature of the sport. And the music, Hans Zimmer was doing what he could here, but it wasn't enough. The rest of the film lets it down massively. The writing is not good. Some of the line reads are not great. The acting is fine. Brad Pitt's just sort of playing your average cool guy. Damson Idris is okay as a rookie, charismatic. It puts the formula in Formula One. It takes no risks despite the risk-taking nature of the motorsport. It's very, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. There's no real payoff. The end scene is nice, to be fair, and it's sort of almost a bookend to the earlier themes of the film. So it does achieve a little bit of good writing there, but the rest of the time, yeah, I did not think this was great, and it's a certain number 10 for me. If you feel like checking it out, F1 is available to stream on Apple TV. At number 9, we have The Secret Agent. Like I said earlier, this was the final piece of the puzzle for me. This was the last Best Picture nominee of 2025 that I had to see. And yeah, saw this last night, was really excited for it. Couldn't help but feel underwhelmed when the credits rolled, unfortunately. That's a feeling that I hate. In my Letterboxd review, I gave it 3 stars and I compared it to No Country for Old Men. And I do think it's quite similar here. The credits sort of hit you and I was left feeling like I'd missed something or that I hadn't understood something, which obviously isn't a great feeling as a cinema fan. I would say I'm pretty, media literate. Maybe I missed something here and maybe it'll be better on a rewatch. Obviously, unlike F1, I do appreciate that this is, like a good film. The celebration of Brazilian culture was amazing. The world that it created felt very, very lived in from the start. Wagner Moura is very good. So yeah, like I said, I can see the sort of objective pieces of this film that make it a good film and probably a worthy nomination. But for me, it just didn't work. At number 8, we have Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. As amazing as this looked, a lot of this just didn't work for me. I wasn't particularly invested in any of the characters. The plots didn't really draw me in. I loved Jacob Elordi's Frankenstein, though. I thought he was a brilliant monster. I gave this 3 stars with a heart, which for me is 3.25. And in my review, I did rave about his performance. A lot of the film annoyingly doesn't involve him, which meant that I wasn't super captivated. Like I think it's the first 45 minutes or maybe an hour. This is a long film, and there's quite a lot of it without Frankenstein in. The monster, I should say, obviously Victor Frankenstein as Oscar Isaac, and I didn't love his character. Like I said in my review, I didn't love Mia Goth's character either. Yeah, just a lot of this didn't work for me. The production design was really nice, though. I've actually predicted it to win the Best Production Design Academy Award. I can see the Academy eating it up. You know, the the tower that he moves into with the big chute, it all looked very nice. Obviously, the top of the tower, those scenes looked really good. The cinematography was great. But yeah, style over substance here for me, as sometimes Guillermo del Toro does lean towards. Frankenstein is available to stream on Netflix. Just before we push forward in the rankings, I'd like to bring some honourable mentions to the table. And these are three films that I would swap F1, The Secret Agent, and Frankenstein for. I just think they were better. I preferred them. Yeah, they resonated a lot more with me, especially one of them. And yeah, here they are. So I would bring in Caught Stealing, Weapons, and Sorry Baby. I loved Caught Stealing. This was a massive surprise for me. I thought it was a great sort of tale of the New York underbelly. I loved Austin Butler's performance. I thought this was a great film. And yeah, probably the surprise for me of last year, I'd say. Weapons, I loved. I'm a big Zach Cregger fan. I love Barbarian, so I knew I'd love Weapons. I love how polarizing it is. You know, some people love it, some people hate it. It's that genre blend of horror and comedy. I thought he nailed it here. I probably did prefer Barbarian, actually. But yeah, this was great as well. You know, you're laughing and then you're terrified. It's a really weird combination, but he pulls it off here. I would probably have those two 10th and ninth. Eva Victor's Sorry Baby absolutely blew me away. I would probably actually have that at seventh above my next entry, but I still feel the next entry is a worthy sort of nominee. But yeah, Eva Victor's Sorry Baby, they absolutely nailed their directorial debut. It's so impressive for this to be their first film. Their performance I mean, they directed, wrote, and starred in it, and they were brilliant in every single category. You know, all three of those elements of the film were spot on. This was a really moving tale of sort of working through trauma and healing. You know, there were times where this film was, excuse me, genuinely funny, and you almost feel bad for laughing because of the subject matter, and you're seeing Eva Victor's character, how they're moving through this horrible thing that's happened to them. But yeah, it's just done in a really light-hearted way in times, piercing in others. And yeah, I thought this was brilliant, and I think it definitely deserved a nomination. It was robbed of a nomination for Best Original Screenplay. Best Picture might be a bit ambitious, but definitely should have had Best Original Screenplay nomination for sure. At seventh place, I have Begonia. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.25, so that's four with a heart. It's one of those where on rewatch, I'll probably give it a better score. You know, I finished it thinking that was great. I'd love to watch it again. And yeah, I'd probably give it a better score. But yeah, really enjoyed this on the first watch. A lot to like here. The two lead performances, Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone, were both very good. The scenes that contain both of them, you know, they played off each other so well. It's intense throughout. The sort of plots with the alien, you know, conspiracy, and Jesse Plemons being this sort of silver tinfoil hat wearing character, but also like a beekeeper. You know, he plays off that duality. It was brilliant. Yorgos's direction is sort of his signature here. You know, very intense, very surreal. Yeah, a lot to love here. Really enjoyed this. I think it's definitely a worthy nomination. With number six, we're moving into the very good nominations here. I do think it's very impressive that we have six top tier nominees for me. I think this is one of the best picture runs in years. And yeah, at sixth, I've gone for Sentimental Value. I gave this 4.5. I loved it. It was so beautiful. Every single performance is just unbelievable. You know, Stellan Skarsgård, Renette Reigns. I'm not completely sure how you say her surname. Renette Reinsve. And then, yes, Inga Ibsdotter Lilias was fantastic, and Elle Fanning as well. Those four, obviously sort of the spine of the film, they were all just brilliant. I love the utilization of the house as sort of that sort of echoing memory that every member of the family has. And then obviously Elle Fanning comes in and she's not got that connection, but she still gives a really good performance. And her character is really interesting, maybe one of the most interesting ones, and very nuanced performance from her. This was just brilliant, great directing. My first Trier watch. I'll definitely be watching more. And yeah, this was fantastic. Inga actually gets my pick for Best Supporting Actress. I thought she was brilliant here. I mean, the two supporting and then the lead actress, sorry, all getting nominations. It's just indicative of what I'm saying about these performances. But yeah, Inga for me stole the scene every time she was on screen. I wanted to see more of her character, and yeah, I think she'll lose out to Amy Madigan from Weapons, who was also fantastic. But she is my pick for me, Inga. Fifth and fourth place was really hard to choose for me. These are two amazing films that work in different ways. But for fifth, I've gone with Hamnet, directed by Chloe Zhao. The reason I put the emphasis on directed by Chloe Zhao there is because I feel like a lot of the discourse from this film, especially in the award season, is just Jessie Buckley, Jessie Buckley, Jessie Buckley. And obviously that's granted. She is both my personal pick and my prediction for Best Actress. I can't see her not winning it. But Chloe Zhao's direction here was just fantastic, absolutely spot on. I do think she's unlucky because I don't think she's going to win it. My pick would be Paul Thomas Anderson. I think Ryan Coogler is going to win it for Sinners, but her directing here was spot on. And then yeah, every other aspect of this movie was brilliant as well. I mean, Paul Mescal, I think unlucky. I'm not sure if I'd say he was snubbed, but I think unlucky not to get a nomination because he was brilliant. I've gone with this film for my personal pick for production design. I mentioned in my Hamnet review how spot on I thought the production design was. It was jaw dropping, especially towards the end in the Globe Theatre, where they watched the play of Hamlet. That production design was just insane. Like I said in the video, it takes a lot for me to notice production design, and I noticed it here. So yeah, it's my personal pick. I don't think it will win. I actually do think Frankenstein will win, like I said before, but this was my personal favorite production design of the year. I've predicted it to win Best Costume Design as well. The costumes were spot on. I think it will win that. I feel like the Academy loves almost like a period piece wardrobe. And yeah, I mean, they looked great here. Obviously, Max Richter's score got the nom for Best Original Score as well. And whilst it is fantastic, I feel like a lot of the heavy lifting of the score is done by that needle drop of On the Nature of Daylight. It's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. And obviously, it wasn't written for this film. But when that came in, it was jaw dropping. And yeah, the score was great, but probably carried by On the Nature of Daylight. I don't believe this is available to stream anywhere right now. I'll leave a link in the description to my full spoiler-free and spoiler-full video if you want to check it out. Like I said, these two were really close, but with fourth, I've gone with Train Dreams. This film was so, so beautiful, both in the way it was actually shot and the sort of themes that it tries to get across and its plot line. It is my personal pick for best cinematography. I don't think it's going to win it, and I'm going to be very, very sad because I think it should be a shoo-in. But yeah, it's my personal pick. Every frame is lived in, whether it's a shot of the forest or a tree falling or an animal or the main character's lovely homestead. It's just, yeah, it feels so lived in, so breathtaking. Yeah, I loved the way this was filmed. I actually think William H. Macy had a shout for being nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I thought he was just fantastic here. Very, very small screen time, but his impact was off the charts for me personally, and I've seen some other people say the same. Just again, sort of sums up the themes of the film brilliantly. Yeah, I loved his character. Kerry Condon comes into this film late, and luckily she has better writing than she had in F1, although that's not hard because the script in F1 was diabolical, like I said. It's not here. Her character is great. Her performance is great. Would have loved to see a little bit more of her, but because of the nature of the plot, she comes in towards the end of the film, and yeah, her presence is great, really sort of commands the screen, but in a subtle way because her character's sort of downplayed and nuanced. But yeah, loved this film. Definitely deserves. I was very happy to see it get that Best Picture shout. Actually, like I said, I don't think it will win, but yeah, 4.5 stars for me. Fourth place in the running. Train Dreams is available to stream on Netflix. Do check it out. I would definitely recommend it. It's a gorgeous film. Okay, now we're into the top three. Full disclosure, I love all of these films with my whole heart. I gave them all 5 stars. I'm sad that only one of them can win. But yes, in third place, I've got Marty Supreme. I recognize that it's probably objectively not as good as a film as the next two, but subjectively, I still loved it. Maybe I got a little bit carried away. I loved Timothy Chalamet's press run. And yeah, after my first and second viewing, I did give this 5 stars, which is rare for me. Normally, it's first viewing 4.5, and then second viewing 5 stars if I, eventually give a film 5 stars. So maybe I was being a bit reactionary. Maybe upon a third watch in a little bit, I would drop the review down, but I don't think so. I love this film, and it is objectively a good film. Timothy is still my pick and my prediction for Best Actor. There's been a lot of discourse recently. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan picked up that Actors Guild Award, which is apparently the biggest indicator of the Oscars. But I still think Timothy Chalamet deserves it. He's my personal pick, like I said. He is just brilliant here, really commands this role. I just wanted to see more and more of him, despite this being a long film and despite us already seeing a lot of him. I mentioned in my Hamnet review that I'm predicting that to win Best Costume Design, but Marty Supreme is actually my personal pick. Similar to what I said about Hamlet's production design, I don't usually go, very all in on costume design, but I've actually been looking up Marty Supreme's costume design. The designer Miyako Belize did an interview saying about how he literally had to design, thousands of outfits, and he designed them all from scratch. He made them all from scratch. And if you think about the amount of characters that were in this film, they had to design 16 different ping pong uniforms for all the different, obviously the world championships, all the different teams. And yeah, I just loved the costume design here, and so impressive. I think this film had two snubs. Odessa Azayan definitely should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She was fantastic here. I actually think she could have had a chance of winning it if she was nominated, as good as I think Inga was. And also, Daniel Lopatin's score not getting nominated for Best Original Score was actually a disgrace. It was better than Frankenstein's score. It was better than Begonia's score. It would be second for me. I loved it so much, like I touched upon in my Marty Supreme review, which I'll link in the description. At the second spot, just missing out on the top prize, I have Ryan Coogler's Sinners, which was my favourite film of the year. I know some are going to be a bit confused about what I've just said, despite ranking it at number 2, but I have touched upon this before. I do think you can and really have to separate your objective best with your subjective favourite. For me, number 1 is the objective best film of last year and should win the best picture, but this is my favourite film of 2025's releases. It means a lot to me. I went to see this in the cinemas 4 times. I've done a whole review on it, which I'll link in the description. I went to see it in the BFI on 70mm, which was just absolutely magical. And yeah, I think this will win a lot of awards. It's my personal pick for Best Original Score. I think it's a clear winner. Ludwig Göransson's score is absolutely insane. I listen to it near on a daily basis. If you've watched my Sinners review, you'll know how much I wax lyrical about the score over there. I think this is a non-competition. It's my personal pick, and it's what I think will win. I also think it'll win the new award, which is that achievement for casting. I really like this award. Casts are obviously such vital roles for films, not just lead and supporting performances, but the whole cast. And I think this film definitely does deserve that award. You've got that main cluster of, like Wunmi Masaku, Delroy Lindo, obviously Michael B. Jordan, but it's just everyone involved in this is just brilliant. And yeah, I think it deserves that award. And then I think this is maybe a bit of a surprise. I think Ryan Coogler is going to get Best Director. He's not my personal pick. I'll move on to that on number 1, but spoiler alert. But yeah, I predict that Ryan Coogler will get Best Director, which would be, I wouldn't be mad at that. I also think this is going to pick up Best Cinematography, which again, I wouldn't be mad at. I believe the cinematographer would be the first black female to win this award, which would obviously be amazing. And yeah, just this film getting the flowers that it has, obviously it broke the record for most nominations, just indicates how good of a film it was. And yeah, I'm glad to see it. I'm really glad to see it thriving. You can watch this on Sky Cinema, and I would definitely recommend you doing so. Okay, the top spot, the film that, in my opinion, should win Best Picture is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. I'm itching to rewatch this film. I've not managed to since I saw it for the second time in the cinemas. I think I just might as well pick up the 4K. It was just so groundbreaking, visually amazing. The writing is fantastic. I think it will get that best adapted screenplay. It's my prediction and my pick. Same for Best Picture. It's my prediction and it's my personal pick. Everything about this film is amazing. It's just off the charts. Paul Thomas Anderson's directing here is genuinely just unbelievable. I think it might be his best directorial work. Maybe not my best, my favorite film of his. I think that's still Phantom Thread. I love that film so much, but his directorial stamp here is felt a lot more. I feel like it's got that mixture of classic PTA style, also with him trying new things. He is my personal pick for best director, but like I said, I've predicted maybe a bit of an upset. Not an upset, I should say a surprise, like a hot take, and I feel like it will go to Ryan Coogler, but in my opinion, it should go to PTA here. The performances are insane. Obviously, most of them got their respective nominations. DiCaprio for Best Actor, Tiana Taylor Best Supporting Actress, and then Sean Penn Best Supporting Actor, who I think will win, and he's my personal pick as well. He was just fantastic in this film. Really had that presence, terrifying at times, but also a character that you'd laugh at and then feel sorry for as the film goes through. That's his sort of arc. Chase Infinity can feel aggrieved with no nom for Best Supporting Actress, in my opinion. I loved her here. I quite like her as a person as well. She seems very grounded and just nice, really. Obviously, I don't know her personally. I'm just basing this off interviews and her socials. But yeah, she's similar to Jessie Buckley, where her next film I will go to just to see her. She's already got that star power for me. And yeah, I feel like she could have got a nomination here. So there is my ranking of all of the Best Picture nominees. It's like I said, it's so great to see so many films on there. I don't think one film is going to sweep the awards like Anora did last year. There's going to be battle in near every category. Literally the only one that I think is absolutely nailed on is Jessie Buckley for Best Actress. I think there could be, surprises elsewhere. I've obviously ran through a lot of my personal picks and my predictions. Here is the full list. Yeah, 2025 was just a fantastic year for cinema. This year has got a lot to live up to. A lot of my favourite films of the decade so far were released last year. Like I said, that battle for the top three, and then even fourth, fifth, and sixth, they're all brilliant films. I do feel like there was one very rogue nomination in F1 and two others that I didn't personally agree with. I think other films could have been there and should have, but yeah, just a brilliant look. I feel like this is one of the best award run-ins we've had in a long time. Like, I am actually really excited. I'm going to tune into the Oscars, like I said, which I never normally do, and yeah, just really excited for it to see how my predictions unfold. If you do some predictions of your own, please either leave them in the comments or send them to me on Instagram. It's just Dan Henny1. I'd love to see them. And yeah, we can compare who does better in terms of predictions. I've really enjoyed making this style of video. I'll definitely do some more sort of rankings of various things with my personal thoughts. I'm the kind of guy that's always got top fives and top tens of anything in my notes. I've got top 5 games, albums, films, series. So I'd love to do more of these videos. At the same time, I do want to keep up with the spoiler-free and spoiler-full reviews, definitely of new releases. So if people would be interested, maybe I can do alternate releases. So, one new release review and then one ranking. I do think it will be fun to go through my predictions after the Oscars has taken place. So I think that might be one of my next videos. I'm not sure what new release I'm going to see next. I'm hoping to see Project Hail Mary soon. But yeah, I'm not sure which one will come first. Thanks for listening to my top 10. Let me know either your thoughts on my ranking in the comments or your own ranking. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sort of different style of video. It's Oscar season, baby. I've been Dan the Cineman. I'll see you at the movies.